Jasmine was born December 3rd, 1973, and she died June 9th, 2005. So tomorrow, December 3rd, 2018, would have been her 45th birthday. This is her and me when I was 19. She was about 6 months to a year, 1974. Some hair, huh? This is her when she was 13, 1986. Beautiful girl. And this is the most recent picture in 2003 when she was 30 years old. Her death was listed as a suicide, but we don't really know what happened. They found her on the 110 freeway downtown LA, the bottom of the 7th Street bridge. Don't know if she jumped or was pushed or accidentally fell. I guess we'll never know. But since she tried suicide before, that's what they determined. So I'm going to read some poems that I wrote about her, and one that she wrote herself. I have her diaries and journals, and I went through them and found a lot of poems. She almost has as many as I do. So I think I might even put a little book together of Jasmine's poems. But Jasmine was mentally ill. She was diagnosed as schizophrenic when she was around 20, 21 years old. I wrote this one in 1994. And at that time, my mother was about 81 years old and was starting to have symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's. So the name of this poem is Schizophrenic Alzheimer's. It was published in a newsletter of the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. And that's a great organization. They have support groups for families, especially parents of people with mental illness. So it's a good organization to contribute to, NAMI, National Alliance Mentally Ill. And they published this poem in their newsletter back sometime around the mid-90s. So schizophrenic Alzheimer's. My mother and my daughter both have something in common besides me. They both live in the present, the future they cannot see. Separated by 60 years of the world spinning too fast, too fast. They may have finally found the secret to peace at last. My mother, she's comfortable, has everything she needs. My daughter, she has nothing, sleeps among the weeds. Neither of them realize the pain that others feel. Their main concern is waking up and finding their next meal. My mother finds hers in the kitchen, left over from yesterday. My daughter finds hers at McDonald's, if someone else will pay. They only see in front of them. They deal in the present tense. Neither one talks much. When they do, they make little sense. At least not to the rest of us who care about their fate. My daughter, she can still make it. My mother, I'm afraid it's too late. You know, they both are lucky in a strange, distorted way. They don't cry like I do, at least not today. Yes, losing a child is a very, very painful thing to go through, and having a mentally ill child is, in many cases, similar, because it's just like losing them. And that's what I experienced when I went to those support groups, that the parents were so hurt and so sad. This next one will tell you a little bit more about some of the things Jasmine went through and me. This one doesn't have a title. My baby keeps smoking crack cocaine. Was picked up by the police again. They found her out in the pouring rain, trying to run away from her pain, walking barefoot in the dark, hanging out in MacArthur Park. Sometimes life gets a little too hard. down on Alvarado Boulevard. Picked her up at the Rampart Station. Found myself a new revelation. I signed the bottom of the citation. Yeah, so it was really through being arrested that Jasmine got into the mental health system and was diagnosed first as bipolar, then later as schizophrenic. But as many mentally ill people, she had a problem with drugs. She was a drug addict and was homeless from time to time. But one time she was arrested. This was in 1996. She was at Sybil Brand Institute, which is a women's jail over on the east side of LA. So I was waiting in line to visit her. You'd have to go early in the morning to stand in line and get a visitor's pass, I think at 7 a.m. And you wait for hours and hours before you could go in and visit. They would only let up maybe a dozen people at a time, but there would be 100, 200 people in line. It was a women's prison, so it was men, boyfriends, husbands coming to visit them. And this is what I experienced while waiting in line one day. Babies wait in grandma's arms with eyes of blue heaven. Patience is learned and forgotten and given as a gift at birth. 5 small children raised alone by a man too young to have 4 grandchildren, let alone the 5 who share his eyes. Birds are free and chatter above our heads, raising our eyes to see through leaves and into gray sky. Open spaces between bars where energy can flow unrestricted. Conversation in line is about home remedies for PMS, attorney fees, and card games. Coffee sipped slowly by bearded watch cap, puffy jacket bell-bottoms, plastic grocery bag with gifts not allowed. We are in jail also, we line waiters, with booking numbers on visitor pass slips, junkie mothers, gangbanger fathers, black and silver raider jackets, hard stares and tattoos, boyfriends with hickeys underneath turtleneck sweaters and Dodger caps, up all night, wrinkled clothes, hospital and nightclub bands around scarred wrists, barefoot in the rain. Narcotic eyes, unable to stay open, line cutting, criminal act of impatience being played out again. Cold wind blowing in chain-link tunnels, outside world silently breathing. Inside, inmates counting seconds. Catering truck, wallet vendors, telephone booth and soda machine coin collectors. Thoughts mingling in unconscious river of melted mind flow. Faithful husbands arriving at dawn every weekend. Married between bars of steel and concrete and barriers of guilt. Believe in time as something alive that has a lifespan of its own. Hold on to hope and see the future unfold. Create a lifetime of imagery from a reservoir of memories. Children waiting and wondering, when will it end and why is it normal? Cycle of life repeating itself, baby after baby after baby after baby. Hour after hour after hour after hour. Time is irrelevant until the task is completed. Yeah, that's quite an ordeal to go through to visit somebody who's in jail. Now this is Jasmine's poem, and I'll end with this one. I'm just going to read. Her poetry goes on and on and on and on. So I'll start with this one, a couple pages of it. Give you an idea. She wrote this when she was at a place called River Community in Azusa, way up in the San Gabriel Mountains by the San Gabriel River, rehab place there. she writes, "Can you read my mind? Sometimes, what do you find? Another girl who is just as beautiful as me, locked in a jail for psychiatric care? Am I aware of the cost in the hospital, of the lost? Drugs, 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 cocaine, nose pain. Speed out, you little freak. It's always the best place to be, or else you would be happy, enjoying the meaning of life. This jail cuts like a knife. Talk about suffer. No, I ain't suffering. I'm talking about burning in hell in this hot sun. What have I done to deserve this fucking shit? Let's take a look on the bright side. 5 more weeks. Then I just might be dead by then. At this rate, sex is fun with guys in here, but some of them treat me with disrespect. I love you, Jasmine. I love you. I love you very much. So let me touch you. You are so sweet, poor thing. Come over here. Good things await you. So I'm just hanging in there. Don't sweat the small shit. Everything will be okay. My future hopes and dreams to live in a board and care with a nearby bus to take to the streets of downtown. Run all around looking for drugs. Eventually get arrested. Then go to Twin Towers for a while before they send me to another psychiatric hospital. Another psychiatric hospital. I think that's what the title of this one will be. And that's exactly what happened, what she writes here. Kept happening to her over and over again until one time one of the hospitals dropped her off downtown. And that was the last we heard from her until the coroners called us. So happy birthday, Jasmine. I love you. I miss you. I'm sorry for everything you had to go through. And I hope that you don't mind me sharing your poetry. I think she would be proud of it. Everybody have a great week. See you next Sunday for Spoken Word Sunday with Granddaddy G.